are in charge, what's going to happen is you're going to get asked a ton of questions every day about how you want to handle different situations.
If you're doing nothing and you're not preparing nothing, then be prepared for chaos.
Your job right now, before all of this happens, is to think about all of those questions and document and decide ahead of time how you should handle those situations. We've come up with the complete winter preparedness guide from reactive chaos to strategic control in 4 steps. And it's going to turn your conversation into a easily referenceable document that will have all the answers in there, and also will expose any gaps in your thinking. Process without any assignment is just a document sitting in your computer. It's digital dust. If you've ever felt like facilities maintenance for your department gets chaotic, these are the things that you need to do ahead of time. You'll watch. Your department will run better. You'll feel less stressed, and you'll be a more effective leader as a result. All right, it's December. It's cold. It's about to be freezing. Actually, today in Chattanooga, it is getting colder as the day goes on.
Yeah, all of New England's getting snow right now.
We don't really have to deal with this as much in here, but here's the thing that I know about anytime this happens every winter, this happens every summer. If you are in charge, what's going to happen is you're going to get asked a ton of questions every day about how you want to handle different situations. And so your job right now, before all of this happens, is to think about all of those questions and document and decide ahead of time how you should handle those situations. Get it into a document and then get it in front of your team in a way that they can really easily reference for when things happen. So what we've come up with for the month of December, we're calling it the complete winter preparedness guide from reactive chaos to strategic control in 4 steps. The first step, the thing we always talk about, the way that we build processes is you ask yourself all the questions that you should ask yourself or that your team is going to ask of you, and you answer them. And you do this while recording yourself using a tool like Granola or Otter or
Loom.
Loom. You want to do this in a way that you can get a transcript out. And so get you and your team in a room, ask the questions, decide on the answers, and get this recorded. So that's step 1. Step 2 is going to be taking that transcript, running it through our prompt. We're going to provide you with a prompt. It's an excellent prompt. You'll be able to feed the transcript into the prompt using whatever language model you like. So it doesn't matter if you use Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Llama, whatever you like. Use that one and run the prompt, give it the transcript, and it's going to turn your conversation into a easily referenceable document that will have all the answers in there, and also will expose any gaps in your thinking. So if there's anything that is incomplete, it'll tell you and you can make those changes. So super awesome. We recommend that you use this. Step 3 is divide up a process into SOPs and areas of accountability. Yeah. Give them to people by role, because a process that is not assigned to anybody is just a document that's going to sit on a shelf. And then step 4 is figure out your scoreboard. What are you going to actually pay attention to? What are the key things that need to happen, the basics that you need to make sure happen so that you don't have a bunch of chaos and work within a relatively stress-free facilities maintenance department through the winter.
Stress-free as it can be anyways.
As stress-free as it can be. But you know what makes things less stressful? A team that's prepared.
Yep. And knowing what needs to be done, for sure.
So if you have ever felt like facilities maintenance or your department gets chaotic, these are the things that you need to do ahead of time, and you'll move from chaos to control. And this is what strategic leaders do. It's what strategic facilities managers, facilities leaders do. All right, let's talk about some questions. These questions are not all encompassing, but these are things that just they'll prime your mental engines and get that motor running. So here's some questions that you should ask. What are HVAC units that need attention before winter arrives? And you could put in any type of equipment here. What you should look at is historical data. Maybe you have equipment that's over 10 years old. Anything that in the last season had more than 3 service requests on it, even if it's not for similar things, just had 3 service requests inside of a cold season. These are going to be on your watch list. You're going to know ahead of time that this equipment is likely to fail again because it's old or because it's broken down a bunch in the past. And you want to make sure that you have contractors in place and people responsible for watching these things, getting proactive. Most likely, you're not going to get anything from your field, from the store managers, until it fails. So if you can proactively reach out and say, hey, last year you had a bunch of issues on this particular equipment, we keep an extra eye on it. How's it doing this week? These are things you can do to keep from an emergency happening, keep from you're sitting down for dinner and you're on call.
Even going through and looking at your list of equipment and saying these 5 units at these locations, next work order, we're replacing them. Even just going ahead and knowing what HVAC units are on the threshold of replacement, so you can have that lined up. So when you see that ticket come through, it's already marked and you know what to do with it.
Here's another question. What criteria define priority response during cold weather events? We're talking about cold weather, so this will be more specific. When's in an emergency? When are you able to spend to authorize emergency rates? When is it going to wait until tomorrow? Is this case by case? Is this store type by store type? How are you going to make this decision so you don't end up spending money that you don't need to spend on emergencies that are not actually emergencies?
You even got to look at your P&Ls and decide which locations are the most important to keep up and running. And they're all important. We don't want to lose money. We always say sales, safety, and security. We want to make sure that we're constantly leaving our places able to have sales. But if you've got 2 locations in the same area and only one available emergency technician, you should right off the top of your head say go to store 68 and then go hit up store 75 in that order. Knowing those things is very, very important.
Question number 3, which parts should you stock on site for rapid repairs? Are there things that you can have at your sites, things that are going to be hard to get a hold of if you don't already have them? Things that everybody's going to be buying.
Do you have extra? Yeah. Does your technicians have extra capacitors? Are they keeping extra fans with them and fan motors with them? All of those things. Do they have all the necessities to fix heat strips when it's necessary for emergency heat situations? All of those things are things you want to keep in account.
De-icing salt.
Yep. All of those things for sure.
What are the things that contractors like to charge more for when you're in a pinch?
Yeah, emergencies for sure. I mean, emergencies for sure.
How do you document storm-related conditions that affect service delivery? What are you doing to pay attention to what's coming down the path? I always tease Justin because he says, there's this meteorologist that I follow on LinkedIn. If you don't have a favorite weather app, get one.
Yes, absolutely.
If you don't have something that's going to notify you of things that affect you in certain areas, get one. All of our virtual maintenance coordinators, they're all in the Philippines. And Justin has, right? You have an app.
Zoom Earth. It's amazing.
You're not here. And you know about storm events that might affect them before they do, probably sometimes, because you have something that you're using that's actually notifying
monitoring. Monitoring that area. And I do the same thing with a lot of our New England stores. We have a lot of customers that their stores are in New England. They have a storm rolling through there this evening. And what I talked about in our Monday meeting was, hey guys, there's a storm hitting this week. Be prepared. Reach out to those contractors that are supposed to be doing site plows and make sure that they're ready. We have a team of people that just work on the HVAC trade. Be prepared for those heating calls. Who do you have lined up? A lot of times it's what can you do to prepare? Does it make sense to call the biggest contractor? It sure does make sense to prepare that contractor. Say, hey, I just want to make sure you guys are prepared as well. We can only do so much, but we got to do something. We can only do so much to predict what we can predict. But if you're doing nothing and you're not preparing nothing, then be prepared for chaos. You might not grab everything, but it's getting you in the mindset to get yourself prepared. And also it's going to help make next year better. What did we miss this year that we need to look for next year? But if you just completely don't set yourself up for this and don't start some sort of preparation, you got to prepare.
There's more questions in the guide. Go get the guide. We really believe in what we do. We have the best maintenance coordinators in the entire world, and you want them on your team, especially when you're going through these high volume events. Our customers say things like, you guys hold our vendors accountable at a level that we've never had before. Right? Of course, we're going to brag about what we do and ask you if you want it, but you're also going to get access to this information. These questions, get your team in a room. When you start asking questions, they're going to come up with stuff. They've dealt with this. Mm-hmm. They don't like asking you question after question after question after question. They want to be prepared. So give them an opportunity to ask those questions ahead of time. record it, and then use the next thing that we're going to be releasing, which is our AI prompt that can turn that transcript into a process. So this AI prompt solves the problem that expertise is living in your head and not in documents. And we're going to help you make it into a document really, really easy. The reason that we use AI to do this is because language models are really good at distilling information. We don't want them making up information for you. And so you want a prompt that makes sure that it's not going to make anything up. We want to extract the information that's in your head and put it in a clear, concise way. And that's what this prompt does. So you're going to take this prompt, you're going to copy it, you're going to paste it into the chat window, and you're going to attach a transcript, a document that's the transcript from the conversation. Okay. And it's going to run through required sections. So we're telling it to make sure it's pulling all this information on the transcript. And if it doesn't, then it's going to put on the output. Here's a gap. Here's a process gap. And it's going to make sure that you know where your gaps are. It's going to put on here your preseason equipment assessment, not just HVC, but everything. Your response prioritization, your strategic parts inventory and supplier management, your emergency response and service execution, your weather-related documentation and context capture. How are you knowing what's coming down the track? And then what are the performance tracking and how are you going to review, right? And it's going to take your conversation. It's going to organize it into these categories. And these things are smart enough. They're going to know what your decision is. You don't need to edit the transcript. It'll pull it out. Yeah. And then it's going to give it formatting requirements. And it's going to tell you what not to do. Like, don't make up details we didn't provide. Don't use generic management jargon. Use our specific terminology. Don't create overly complicated flowcharts or diagrams. The prompt has all of these things to avoid to keep AI from doing annoying AI stuff. And then it's going to output a probably 80% done. It depends on how thorough you were in your conversation, but about an 80% done process document for you, which is way better than what you have now.
It's really just taking all of the knowledge from everybody's brains that they've had all this time. Maybe it's written down somewhere, and it's going to structure all that knowledge into some usable process. We talked about this earlier, that you can assign to actual people for them to follow.
In the guide, we're going to walk you through how to iterate. So feeding output back with refinements, how to basically have a conversation with this chat model and tell it what the gaps are, how to have it ask you questions that help you fill in the gaps, and then in the end you'll have a complete document. I do this all the time. I think one of the biggest use cases for language models that people don't use. People want to use it to cut corners and do things for them. What I like doing is using it to get information out of my head and then organized in some way. I'll say, hey, I'm trying to work through this specific problem, and I'll tell it what the problem is. And I want you to ask me questions one at a time until I ask you to stop. And if I give you an answer that answers a future question that you might have, don't ask me questions more than once. And then I will just using a voice to text little piece of software that I have on my computer, I will just read the question and then talk back into my computer for 30 minutes. And then I'll basically be able to work through that problem that I'm thinking about through those questions and through answering questions that I may not have come up with on my own, and have a synthesized version of my thoughts organized on a page. And it's wonderful. If you're a leader, or anybody really, but especially if you're a leader, you should use it for this thing. Don't say, hey, what should I do about this? Hey, say, ask me questions so I can figure out what I should do about this. Because chances are the information and the decision is already up in your head somewhere. You can say, hey, poke holes. I'm thinking about doing this. Poke holes in it.
Find me somewhere where this could go wrong. Ask me any question that would help make sure that I don't mess this up. It could literally be as simple as that. What's good about AI is you can literally talk to it like as if you were having a conversation.
Section 3 is dividing tasks and creating accountable ownership. A process without any assignment is just a document sitting in your computer. It's digital dust, or if you print it out and put it in a notebook, it's just going to collect dust on your shelf. You have to assign things to people. Look at your processes and say, who is going to do this, and give it to them. Say, you're responsible for this, and this is what I want you to provide for me at these intervals. Or you're responsible for this, and your job is to make sure that the bucket of whatever this category is at 0. And if it's not at 0, you're working at it. Do these things in this order. That's what dividing tasks and creating accountable ownership is. You have to give the right things to the right people.
It's the part of this process that you could do all of this work. If you don't do this step, you skip this step, or you're too broad with this step, it's going to kill everything. You really have to look at your organization, look at who you have on your team. We talked about who you're hiring. Make sure you have the right personalities to handle what you're about to give them, and then assign it to them. And then take your lead and lag measures to, check those to make sure that, what you assign to them is getting knocked out correctly. If you're not following up, you're failing. That's for sure.
How do you know what to assign? You have to look for action verbs in your processes. Mm-hmm. Action verbs. Generate, review, schedule, complete, approve, stock, coordinate, determine, approve, document, track, verify. Those are action verbs that we took straight from this guide that we're giving away, but you will have your own. Just read through your document, and every time you see an action verb, stop and go, all right, who's taking this action, and assign it. You have to assign it. Otherwise, you'll have all this strategy, but you won't have any action.
You'll go nowhere fast.
Lead to chaos. So divide things up. We have a whole section on this, on how to create SOPs that actually work. We talk about dividing up tasks. We talk about what tasks require specific standard operating procedures. So if you want to know what those are, download the guide. You just go to our website and access it. Read through this thing, how to get what's in your head onto paper and assigned to people so that the right people are doing the right things and you're not stressed and your team isn't stressed and you don't have a bunch of people who are afraid to make a decision, and you're not spending extra money because of making decisions on the fly. You've pre-made decisions.
Absolutely.
Section 4. KPIs that keep your winter HVAC operation accountable. You have to create a framework of leading and lagging indicators. So a lagging indicator
Very
is
important.
a result. A leading indicator is what needs to be performed. In our company, we have this concept we call bonus the basics. Mm-hmm. It comes from, you have a funny story about this, Justin. I love your story about being in school and people getting credit for extra credit, but not people getting credit for doing the everyday things.
You're sitting in school and the guy who has a bad grade gets the opportunity to do extra credit and gets extra credit for something that everybody else has already been doing, when in reality, we should be bonusing or giving the extra credit to the folks that do what they're supposed to do on a daily basis. The people that was going to kind of do what they're supposed to do get put to the wayside, when in reality, those are the people that should be getting the opportunity to have extra, and then everybody else will kind of just fall off after that. They're either in or they're out.
So there's important things like your homework. What's the homework in your company? Like, are you checking every day and looking at the weather? Did the list of equipment get made or not? What are the measurable actions that can be taken that you expect to get to create the results that you want? And figure those out and measure them. Measure how many times they're being done. Have people self-report, use technology to report it, however you want to do. But figure out what are your leading indicators. And then your lagging indicators, you want to know, what do you expect to happen as a result of taking all this activity? And then at the end of the season or during the season or periodically, however often you want to look at this, you can go, are we getting the results we want? Yes or no? No. Okay. Are we doing the things we're supposed to do? Yes or no? And if it's a yes, then we're probably doing the wrong things. And if it's a no, then we probably have the wrong people doing it. Because if people aren't doing what they're supposed to do, they are the wrong people to do that job.
We even talk about, are we preventing failures through preparation? Yes or no? Are we responding effectively when failures occur? Yes or no? These are all the questions you need to be asking yourself, especially if this is your first year doing it. Like I said, your first year might not be perfect, but if you don't start thinking about these things now, year 2 and year 3 are not going to get any better. And that's when you look at those lag measures, is at the end of the season, you take a look at those lag measures. Did these things work? And then you can go back and make those adjustments. Did I have the right people doing it? Yes or no? Maybe there's somebody else who shined in a certain area better than others. But unless you take the time to do these things and start measuring these things, you're not setting yourself up to have a successful season for sure.
If you run a facilities maintenance department and you're constantly thinking, man, I wish that my people weren't asking me so many questions. I wish they just knew this. I wish I didn't have to repeat myself. You have to do this. Your folks, they'll learn on their own. If you have good people, they will learn on your own, but they have to learn through experience. And if you have that experience already, then your job is to give it to them ahead of time. And so we've created this guide, and every single month we're going to be releasing another guide that goes in depth. The Google Doc version of this guide that we wrote is 42 pages long. It gives you everything you need to go from information trapped into your head to a team with written processes, assigned responsibilities, and KPIs to manage if work is being done and if that work that's being done is effective or not. It's all here. All you have to do is just go to our website and put your email address in, and you'll get it. And then you can take this and you can apply it to your department.
Yeah, you're doing this for summer prep, fall prep.
Yeah.
I mean, you could literally
Yes.
apply this to everything.
Yeah, the only thing that changes really is the questions and also kind of what is involved in the prompt.
Yeah,
The rest
yeah.
of it's pretty much the same, but you got to download it and you have to do it. Your department will run better. You'll feel less stressed. You'll get to move from chaos to strategy, and you'll be a more effective leader as a result.
This is going to put you in the right mindset. Not only the winter season, but every season. How many times have you guys gotten a call from the location saying they didn't plow it this morning? Well, that's because we got another 4 inches. Same thing with the grass, right? People say they didn't mow it this week. Well, that's because it rained for 3 days and now the grass is really tall. All of these things can be set up for any season, but no time like the present to get started for sure.